Here are 11 things you should know before your 20s that'll give you a competitive advantage in life. Number 1, everything is negotiable. Everything. Even the things you least expect. Whenever you buy anything, ask yourself, is this negotiable? You should rarely pay asking price. Now, obviously, some things are not worth negotiating or the energy or effort required to negotiate, but some other things are definitely worth it. For example, shopping for furniture or appliances, you can save up to 20% from asking price. So sometimes it is worth asking for a better price. Just that effort to ask that question could save you a lot of money. And heck, if you don't get a discount, it didn't cost you anything to ask to begin with. So not only can you negotiate something you buy, you can even negotiate things you buy at retail stores that you don't expect is negotiable. For example, a Foot Locker or a Sport Check. You can actually negotiate a pair of sneakers as long as you speak to the person who has the authority or the ability to give you a discount. So not only can you negotiate something you buy, but you can negotiate your salary or benefits with your employer. If you're happy with the job offer you received and you're okay with the salary, you can negotiate other things in the job offer outside of salary. For example, working conditions, working from home or the ability to work from home, vacation, an extra week of vacation per year, health and dental insurance, group RSP plans. Most companies will give you health and dental insurance after 3 months probation and will allow you to participate in their group RSP plan also after 3 months. But this is actually something you can negotiate. If you want to be covered for health and dental insurance from day one, you can actually request it. Look, I'm happy with the company. I'm happy with my position. Salary is very reasonable, so I'm not going to negotiate the salary, but I would like to have health and dental insurance coverage from day one because this is my situation. I have kids, I have a family. If this is something you could do, it would make me very happy and would remove a lot of stress from my day-to-day. So as long as you're polite and reasonable in your request, it's very hard for them to refuse it. And sometimes you just need to speak to the right person who has the power to make that decision. So it's up to you to figure out if you're speaking to the right person when making that request. And if not, find a way to find out who that right person is without offending the person that you're speaking to initially. Also, when dealing with customer service in general, the first response you get isn't always the final response. That is also negotiable. Don't be afraid to insist on your request while always staying polite and rational. And if it doesn't work, call again and speak to someone else. Or if it's an in-person request, go to a different branch. The number of times I was able to get what I requested just by insisting or asking someone else. I remember once I returned a kettle I bought from Costco online and it started leaking after the 3rd month, but I only took action to return it after 2 years. So the first Costco I went to refused to take it back because it was over 2 years. Usually Costco will take things under a year. So I simply went to another warehouse and they accepted to take it back. I didn't even have to insist. So when dealing with customer service, the first response isn't always the final response. Don't be afraid to insist or try with someone else or somewhere else as long as you're polite and reasonable in your request. I was once charged bank fees that I would have to say is half my fault, half the bank's fault because their fees were mentioned but written in a way that the average person would never understand. And it was about $250 of fees. So I called in to get it refunded and I was only given a one-time $25 credit. So out of $250 fees, I only got $25 reimbursed to me. 6 months later, I called back and I was able to get another $50. So now I got $75 reimbursed out of the initial $250 fees. So the first agent I spoke to that gave me the one-time $25 credit, I didn't take it as a final response. Simply called back later, spoke to someone else. Maybe because it was 6 months later, the second agent didn't see it in the notes, didn't pay attention. Maybe another agent would have seen it in the notes, but I was lucky. I fell on an agent that didn't notice that I already got a partial refund for those fees. So that's what happens by trying. The more you try, the better your chances of getting lucky. If you don't try, you don't get anything. And yes, I'm going to try again later to call back and get more fees reimbursed. I once drove 20 minutes to a branch to perform a transaction that could be done at that branch. But once there, the attendant said that I needed to take an appointment for this transaction and come back another day. So of course I didn't accept that reality, knowing that this transaction would only take 5 minutes. I insisted on the attendant why she wouldn't be able to assist me. It only takes 5 minutes. And her response was that she was busy. She had an appointment in 5 minutes, so she wouldn't be able to help me. So I asked her, if you have an appointment, who's going to be taking your place? Then she said her colleague is going to take her place. So I waited 5 minutes. Her colleague came out and I just asked her colleague for the same request, and she was able to perform the transaction, which took exactly 3 minutes. So just a matter of not accepting no for an answer, remaining polite, insisting, and being a little bit lucky. So yes, everything is negotiable. You don't have to take no for an answer all the time, as long as you stay polite, rational, and reasonable in your request. Even bad grades are negotiable. To graduate from college, I needed an overall GPA of 2.0, but apparently there was this hidden rule that wasn't obvious to anyone, that your last semester also needed to be above a certain GPA. So even if your overall GPA was above 2.0, your last semester needed to be above a certain GPA, or else you don't graduate. Even if you pass all your classes, if your last semester is not above a certain GPA, even if your overall GPA is above 2.0, you can't graduate. So my reaction to that was, of course, not wanting to stay an extra semester to take a course I already passed just to get a slightly higher grade in it, a course that I know would not offer any value or any added value to my life, whether I got a C or a B in that course. I calculated how much I needed to get in my last semester in order to graduate, went to see several teachers and asked them to bump up my grade by just 1 letter grade, explaining the reason, explaining that this is the silliest rule ever, that there is no added value to repeat a course I already passed. It's just a waste of money. It stops me from getting a job full time. So it just didn't make sense. So I spoke to several teachers. I basically needed 3 teachers to bump up my grade by at least 1 letter grade, and I would be able to graduate that same semester without having to retake a course that I already passed just to get a higher grade in it. So the first 2 teachers I spoke to didn't accept, but the following 3 teachers accepted, and I am forever grateful to them. So my point here is everything is negotiable. You don't always have to accept the first response. All right, the second thing you should know before your 20s that'll give you a competitive edge in life is everybody's got a story that'll break your heart. Don't judge anyone on what they wear or do, or the car they drive, or the lifestyle they have, if you don't know them personally, because you never know what is going on in their personal life. You might see someone driving a Ferrari and envy them, but you don't know what they went through to get that Ferrari or what they are going through. Maybe they have a disability that you don't see, but they're actually living with for the rest of their life. And that Ferrari is just a way for them to get some happiness temporarily. Maybe they lost a loved one recently. Maybe they lost a child. Maybe they have an addiction. Guaranteed that they have something that makes their life not as beautiful as you are imagining it. The third thing you should know before your 20s that'll give you a competitive advantage in life is consumerism is a science. Billions of dollars are spent every year to get you to spend more and consume more. How many times have you bought something after seeing an ad? Most people enjoy the feeling of buying something, or being able to swipe your credit card to purchase something, or finding good deals. Do you ever find yourself buying things just because they're on sale but you don't actually need? Are you really buying something because you need it, or because it's a deal, or just because it's nice to have? When a holiday like Valentine's Day comes along, do you feel the pressure to buy a gift for your loved one? Who says you have to buy something on Valentine's Day for your loved one? I'm really curious, who made up that rule and why are we following it blindly? Are we just looking for an excuse to celebrate? Why do we feel the need to follow a trend or follow the crowd? Seriously, to go to nowhere, follow the crowd. Stand out from the crowd and be yourself. Have your own opinions. So if you realize or acknowledge that consumerism is a science, that corporations are spending billions of dollars every year to get you to buy things, you will save more money. You'll avoid getting in debt. Instead of making someone else rich, you'll be making yourself rich, because you're not buying a $300 Michael Kors bag. I don't know, I'd rather make myself rich than make the owner of Michael Kors rich. So the fourth thing you should know before your 20s that'll give you a competitive edge is that the best skill to master in your life is the skill of getting things done. It is actually more important to get things done than to do it right or perfectly. You don't need to be a perfectionist. You need to be aware of the law of diminishing returns. After a certain point in trying to perfect something, the more effort you put in, the less proportionate output you will get. So you need to be efficient with your time and effort. The most successful people are the people who take action and get things done, more than the people who sit and plan the perfect layout without taking action. Don't get overwhelmed by a task that has several steps and then give up on it because you don't know where to start. Just start. Take it one step at a time. And eventually, after each step gets done, you will get closer and closer to completing the full task. I'm sure you've noticed this in your life. The many people around you who are successful or rich or own a successful business aren't necessarily the smartest people. And you probably wondered, how are they doing so well? That is because it is not the smartest people who achieve success. It is the ones who procrastinate less, make fewer excuses, and take action every day towards the goals they want to achieve.
It's a deal.
See that, boy? Why aren't you making any business deals?
I'll do it this afternoon.
It really is that simple. Get things done. Whatever it is, just get things done, and you will find yourself a more accomplished person. If you execute everything that comes to mind, you will go further in life, experience more, and increase your chances of being successful. So the fifth thing you should know before your 20s that'll give you a competitive advantage in life is you can fall in love with more than one person in your lifetime. So what does that mean, and how can it give you an edge? First of all, falling in love blinds you from certain realities. Like it or not, that is a fact. Might be science too. When you find yourself in love with someone, you might do the impossible for that person, thinking that you must do that or else you'll lose them. You're willing to sacrifice everything you worked for or built just to make that relationship happen. If things are getting complicated and you start having doubt, don't pursue it. Realize that this isn't the only person you will fall in love with. You are capable to fall in love with more than one person in your life. Accept that fact, and you will avoid making some really bad decisions while being under the spell of love. Don't lose yourself for someone else. Don't sacrifice more than you need to. You need to be happy with yourself at the end of the day, or it will hurt your personality and you won't be confident anymore and you won't be the same person anymore. Love yourself first so others can love you. I mean, I've seen people ruin themselves after getting their hearts broken. So much time is wasted not being productive, just trying to forget that person, trying to get over that person or that relationship. But if you realize that person that went away is not the only person that you can feel what you felt with that person, that happiness, that feeling that you had, you can experience it again with someone else. And if you realize that there are plenty of fish in the sea, you won't let a broken heart ruin you or waste your time or make bad decisions. Sometimes people will go to the wrong school or get in the wrong program just to follow a loved one, or even move to a different city, sacrifice their career just to be with a loved one, thinking this is the right thing to do, this is the one and only, I have to be with that person. But how regretful will you be if it doesn't work out? So that's why I say that knowing that you can fall in love with more than one person in your lifetime can really give you a competitive edge in life. All right, number 6, follow your passion and then learn how to monetize it, not the other way around. Don't follow money and expect to like your job because it pays good money. You won't last in it and you will hate yourself and you won't be successful. If you do what you like, what you are passionate about, you will put more effort into it without even noticing, and you will be good at it and therefore successful. If you follow the money, you will most likely end up failing at what you're doing, not being good at it, unless you have a tremendous amount of discipline. You will also find yourself looking forward to the weekend instead of looking forward to every morning. You will find yourself grumpier, depressed for no reason, even though you are making good money. You're still spending more than 40 hours a week doing something you don't enjoy. That's 24% of your time, not including transit time. So why not spend those hours doing something you actually enjoy and making money at the same time? When you do what you enjoy, it doesn't feel like a job anymore. It feels like a series of proud accomplishments. If you focus on what you're passionate about, success will come. Focus on the journey and the tasks and trust that the results will come. You have a better chance at it when you follow your passion. If you simply follow the money and do what works, you need a tremendous amount of discipline for that. Even if you have the money, you won't feel good about yourself because life is not just about the money. It is about your experiences, feeling fulfilled and accomplished, feeling useful to others. So if your goal is just to make a lot of money to enjoy your life with that money, tolerate any job that pays good money just to be able to live your life with that money, you will realize you won't be happy even with all that money. Because a person needs to feel accomplished, needs to feel wanted, useful. And you don't get that feeling from money, you get it from actually being a useful member of society. The 7th thing you should know before your 20s that'll give you a competitive edge is it's all about sales. Sales cures all. It is important in life to learn how to sell because you will constantly have to sell something. Life runs on sales. A business runs on sales. As an employee, you will have to sell yourself to your employer to convince them to hire you. Your relationship runs on sales when you are trying to convince someone of an idea or simply trying to get your message across. A lot of interactions with people in your society will definitely be easier if you have some sales skills. For example, convincing the customer service representative to reimburse you for something. If you want to have your own business one day, you have to realize that it's all about sales. The success of any business lies on its ability to generate sales. As long as you can sell well, you can start your own business. And what does it take to be a good salesman at the end of the day? You just have to understand your product very well. You have to understand the person in front of you. You have to adapt the message to the person in front of you. You have to bring out the advantages of the product that you're offering and match it with the needs of the person that you're selling it to. And you cannot force a product on someone if they don't need it. The more you offer value to a customer, the better your chances of actually selling. A customer will appreciate that you're actually offering value, that you're actually being honest. If it is obvious that you understand your product very well, that builds trust for the customer, and that's how you become a good salesman. And at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. So the more people you offer value to, the more chance you have of selling. If you don't sell to this person, but they remember that you offered tremendous value to them, they will definitely refer someone to you when the time comes. So every person you meet is a potential client because they will either buy something from you or they will refer someone to you. So if you want to be successful in life, you need to learn how to sell, and that will give you a competitive edge, especially if you start young, because you can make really good money by selling something you like. So number 8, the power of compound interest. If you understand compound interest before your 20s, it is a very powerful tool. If you have the luxury of time, you need to benefit from compound interest. Compound interest is very powerful and can grow your savings so much faster. The younger you start, the sooner you can retire and have more time to do the things you love and enjoy. For example, if you start saving by the age of 18, $5,000 a year in an investment that generates 10% a year return, you can end up with $500,000 by the age of 43. Now, if you continue to generate 10% a year on that $500,000, that is $50,000 interest per year. Imagine what you can do with an extra $50,000 in your life. And if it is in a tax-free savings account, well then it is completely tax-free. Now imagine if you're saving more than $5,000 a year, or generating more than 10% a year, or saving for an even longer time instead of just 25 years, saving for 40 years. So you can see that the effect of compound interest really grows your savings exponentially. So instead of wasting your money on useless things you don't need, or things that have a cheaper alternative, and instead save the difference and take advantage of compound interest, you can retire earlier. Number 9, don't compete with others. Compete against yourself. Don't look at others and envy what they have. It is a total distraction towards reaching your goal. You should always compete against yourself. Look at your accomplishments and perfect yourself. It is okay to have weaknesses and make mistakes and fail. But as long as you keep working at it, eventually you're getting rid of your weaknesses one by one and only getting yourself better and becoming more valuable. And you'll deliver better results simply by competing with yourself. Compare and always trying to do better every time, the next time. This applies in everything you do. For example, if you get a bad grade on an exam, don't compare your results with your friend or a classmate and see which answers they got correct, which answers you got wrong. When you get a bad grade on an exam, first thing you should do is look at your mistakes. Which questions did you get wrong? And then figure out why you weren't able to get the answers the first time. What did you do wrong? Why didn't you know the answers the first time? Is it because you didn't study well? Did you miss a chapter? Find the answers. It's not just about knowing the answers, but knowing how to find the answers. So if you do these steps after you get a bad grade on an exam, guaranteed on your next exam, you'll be much better prepared because you'll know what to do to get the answers that you weren't able to get the first time. So that can apply to anything you do in your life. Just keep expecting perfection from yourself. Only look at yourself, compete against yourself, and you're just going to keep getting better. Every second you spend looking at someone else's accomplishments, you are that much behind at accomplishing your own successes. So get to work and focus on yourself. So number 10, don't waste time. Just don't waste time. When you get older, time waste is usually the biggest regret most people have. Regret of not doing what they really wanted with their time while they still had a chance, while they had the energy. The billionaire and the beggar both have 24 hours in a day. So we're all given the same amount of time in a day. You can't stop time. but you can control how you spend that time. So if you keep that fact in mind, you will probably start valuing your time and not waste it. Your time is your most valuable thing, so don't waste it. And always make sure to enjoy the journey. If you spend 2 hours a day watching TV, that's fine, but you should realize that those 2 hours of watching TV falls under the category of relaxing. So if you're spending 2 hours a day watching TV, but you're also doing something else to relax, then you're probably spending too much time relaxing in your day. Your day needs to be more productive. Because come 30, 40 years, you will definitely regret not spending at least an hour a day doing something productive towards your dreams, towards your ambitions. If you have dreams and ambitions and goals that you want to achieve, don't focus on the end result. Focus on the tasks that you know need to be done in order to achieve that goal. Because if you focus on the end result, you're going to get overwhelmed and you won't start. But if you take it step by step, you will eventually reach your goal. And that comes from not wasting time. Taking an hour or 2 hours a day, doing something productive towards your dreams, your ambitions, your goals. So number 11. The last thing you should know before your 20s that'll give you a competitive advantage, I mentioned this earlier in this video, it is to go to nowhere, follow the crowd. To go to nowhere, follow the crowd. I heard this quote once and it really just confirmed who I was and encouraged me to continue the way I am. To go to nowhere, follow the crowd. I would always get hate for questioning things or simply being different from others in social situations or wanting different things than most people. But I realized standing out from the crowd will get you further in life, being different, original, and not being afraid to pursue your values. You shouldn't follow the crowd simply to fit in. You shouldn't memorize, but understand. Question things before applying. Don't just do things because that's just how you were told it was done. If you're not convinced, then don't do it. And that's how you stand out from the crowd. And that's how you increase your chances of achieving success. But most importantly, being happy and happy with yourself. Have the crowd follow you. You want to get to a point where the crowd is following you. And if there's no crowd behind you, wear a different color shirt. Alright, so these were the 11 things you should know before your 20s that will give you a competitive advantage in life. So if you found any value in this video, please share with anyone else that you think can benefit from it, even if the 20s are behind you. Thanks for watching.